Hi there, Q. Nice to see that we have more essays from you. Let's take a look at what you have done here regarding fast food. Let's see what you said. Experts throughout both the developing and developed world have debated whether the transition of food consumption from traditional to processed creates a detrimental effect on its citizens, their families, and the communities as a whole. Personally, I agree that even though fast food brings many benefits, its disadvantages outweigh its advantages. This essay will analyze my viewpoint using examples from the University of Melbourne and Oxford to demonstrate points and prove arguments. Okay, so far so good. I like that you decided to discuss both sides of the essay. That's what I'm expecting to read about. I'm happy you did that. Let's see how you integrate all the different elements that you need to in this particular topic, okay? All right, so let's move on. There is ample evidence that processed food has underpinned the historical shift from single income families to dual income families. Okay. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, fast food enables parents to prepare food within just a couple minutes. Well, it's usually in within just a couple of minutes is better. Okay, there we go. This frees up their time to work and earn some extra money. Secondly, the rise of this type of food opens the doors for more job opportunities to work in food production of this type of and service, because the more popular fast food is, the more restaurants and factories will be opened. A recent empirical research, okay, we don't say a research, we say a recent empirical study, okay? So, a recent empirical study carried out by the University of Melbourne suggested that the introduction of fast food has increased the employment rate from 8 to 12% in some cities in Australia. Therefore, it's conclusively clear that processed food has paved the way for the most important changes in society. Okay, so this paragraph is very nicely written. Good grammar, good vocabulary, all that is handled really well. I'll tell you what I wanted to see done a little more strongly. Your first sentence, your topic sentence of your paragraph, I didn't feel like it was particularly clear. So when you said that there's a historical shift, I didn't know if you were talking about the positive or the negative aspects of this dietary shift. It wasn't clear. And so I had to keep reading the paragraph to see if you were talking about the benefits that fast food has created on these elements of society or on the drawbacks. It was unclear. So you really need to work on a clearer topic sentence. This is, of course, related to coherence and cohesion. Okay. So I need you to work on that. Show that it is a positive change. Okay. So you could have said there's ample evidence that processed food has underpinned the beneficial shift, or you could have said there is ample evidence that processed food has underpinned some positive changes in families and societies, such as the historical shift from single income families to dual income. Now, why is this sentence even better? Because number one, you're saying very clearly that you're talking about the positive changes. And then number two, you're telling me which elements that the topic asks you to talk about that you're going to talk about. So you say in your topic sentence, families, society. That's what I'm talking about here. Okay. I didn't see anything specifically related to individuals. Okay. So if you had just said that, and this way you're acknowledging that, yes, I understand what the topic has asked me to talk about, and I am specifically referring to these two things here. So that's kind of topic sentence that for me would have made a difference here. Okay, so let's keep going. On the other hand, although there was a case for fast food enriching individuals, families, and even nations, the negative setbacks of it cannot be overstated. Like I said, I didn't see anything specifically about individuals, not really. So if I'm wrong, then you need to definitely signpost that a little better in that previous paragraph. This is largely because it deters family connections by reducing the time a person has with their family, since preparing food and enjoying meals together is now an option rather than a necessity. Another deadly impact accompanied with the frequent consumption of junk food is a downfall of public health. I don't love this language here. Another deadly impact accompanied. This all feels like really inaccurate vocabulary here. So you could have used it, you could have said something a little different. How about another damaging effect which accompanies the frequent consumption of junk food? Those words, that language would have worked better for me. For example, an extensive study by Oxford University showed that social health of some major cities in the UK is suffering due to the popularity of processed food, causing obesity and diabetes. Consequently, it is possible to state beyond doubt that junk food brings destruction to a person's health, family bonds, and even the community's happiness. You need a thought here. All right, so you talked about the negative family connections, and then you talked about people's health. Okay, fine. And then you even said the community's happiness. That's a little bit of a stretch. I don't really feel like you definitely got into that. Maybe you didn't need to. So you talked about family here, but here you could have talked about the individual and how it affects the individual. I think you talked about society in the other one. So if you had chosen not to bring it up, I think you would have been okay. And like I said, like this felt for me like a stretch here. All right. So from the arguments and examples given, I firmly believe that although processed food provides an invaluable contribution to our life, the role of traditional food is more substantial in maintaining a healthy society. It is predicted that traditional food will regain its importance in the community. Okay. Yeah, I think this is really quite good. I really liked it. I did think it's a strong essay. Do I think there are certain tweaks that you can make to it to make it even better, make it even higher scoring? Yes, absolutely. We've talked about them. So those are the things that I want you to think about. Okay. For me, the biggest thing in this paragraph, where was it? Was that your topic sentence wasn't particularly strong. It didn't lay out the arguments clearly. And then there were little grammatical things. And then here it was nice and clear, but I didn't really feel like, here I didn't feel like you talked about individuals, even though you said you did. And then here I didn't feel like you were talking about the community again, even though you said you did. So I either would have left this out or, yeah, I would have left that reference to the community out, left out the reference in the previous paragraph to individuals, or actually say something about them. Okay? All right, let's take a look at what you did with shoe sales. Okay, you've included the graph, and that's really helpful. Thank you. The bar chart illustrates the total number of sales. I'm reading words I don't say. Hold on. The bar chart illustrates the total sales of brown and black leather shoes in 9 European countries in the year 2018. Overall, black leather shoes were more popular in 4 countries, including the UK, Belgium, Hungary, and Italy, while brown leather were dominant in the other nations. Fine. It is shown clearly that Hungary citizens, well, you could have said Hungarian, that's the right adjective. Hungarian citizens purchased most black leather shoes at over 140,000 pairs, followed by Italy, Belgium, and the UK at this, and this, respectively. Of the 9 countries, Belgium was the only nation that had the biggest gap between these two shoes. What? Was the only nation. Grammar is problematic here. Let's read it again. Of the 9 countries, Belgium was the only nation with the biggest gap between these two shoe. Yeah, the grammar's all messed up here. I can't fix it. Okay, I would not have mentioned brown. I don't really feel like that's appropriate. I think that if you're going to do this, you should talk about just black shoes in one paragraph and brown shoes in another. We'll talk about that. If you want to correct this sentence in terms of grammar, you could have said something like, of the 9 countries, Belgium was the only nation with the biggest gap between the two shoe colors. More specifically, 110,000 black shoes and only 7,000 brown shoes. Okay? The smallest shoe, no S here, sales gap was in Hungary, where the number of black shoes sold was just a fraction higher than those of brown, 140,000 pairs as opposed to 125. Yeah, I don't really love this because it's like you started talking about just black, and then all of a sudden you started making a comparison. So you threw in information about brown leather shoes, which I didn't think was such a great idea. I think if you're going to write a paragraph where you're comparing both, then it needs to be happening from the beginning. It's like you started off one way where you're talking exclusively about black, and then all of a sudden you started comparing. So I didn't think this was such a good idea. I don't think it's going to help you in terms of coherence and cohesion. All right, let's keep going. In the countries of France, Germany, Ireland, Holland, and Poland, brown shoes were sold more than its counterpart in 2018, than their counterpart, because it's shoes. Poland had the highest sales of brown shoes at around 130,000 pairs, leading Germany at 125 and Ireland at 100. Belgium was the only country that had brown shoes, get rid of the, at less than 50,000 pairs. Okay, and then that's it. See, this paragraph for me felt more appropriate. The way that it was just exclusively about this. So, let me tell you how I typically do this. I do it similarly to what you did. Basically, I have one paragraph about black, I have one paragraph about brown. And when I have that paragraph about black, I talk about 1, 2, 3 countries, the ones that are all over 100,000. Then I talk about, in contrast, I say, in contrast, only one country sold fewer than 50,000, then talk about France. And then I smush the rest of those countries together. Okay, and say, like, that the remaining countries, and then I name them, and I say they all sold between 60 and 100,000 pairs of black leather shoes. And then I do something similar in the next paragraph. So I talk about the 4 countries that sold over 100,000. I talk about this little guy here, Belgium, and then again I smush the middle. Is that the only way to do it? No, it's not, but I think it's a nice, clean, and easy way. You could possibly make some comparisons, but I'd probably do it in that second paragraph. So, like if I'm talking about Belgium, I might want to say something like, it is interesting to note that Belgium had one of the highest sales of black leather shoes, yet its brown leather shoes were the lowest sales among the 9 countries. So you could potentially do something like that if it fits, if it allows the paragraph to flow. Okay, so in general, I'm really happy with this. I thought there were some things you could have done differently in this task 1. So you're definitely on the right track. You're doing really great. So let's see more work from you, okay? I'll be waiting, and good luck.